You know, I'm going to tell you one quick thing. This election in November is an atrocity that we had in November 2016. We know that there was interference in the election by the Russians. We know that there was voter suppression by the Republican Party. That's not partisan, that's factual. We know that there were hundreds of thousands of votes, mostly cast by minorities, that were not counted. And therefore we know the real electoral college winner, had none of these things occurred, would have been Hillary Clinton. So when Representative John Lewis says Donald Trump is not the legitimate president, he's absolutely right. But this is much greater of an atrocity than this election. Let me explain why. We allowed our electoral college system to be hacked. And as a result, the intelligence agencies now know that it's true. But yet the Electoral College still authorized this illegal election. What's worse is the U.S. Congress authorized this illegal election. President Obama's administration allowed and is transitioning to power the person who is getting office due to this illegal election. The Supreme Court has done nothing. This is an illegal and an abomination election. However, what is really the most concerning part of this is we now know no party, Democrat or Republican, is going to do anything about this or any future election. You see, the proper thing to be done here is to invalidate the results of this election and award the presidency to Hillary Clinton, or to have every American recast their vote and have another election. And since that's not going to be done, we can no longer say anybody's vote really counts. You see, people think that are Trump supporters, they think, man, we won. Why do we give a dang? It's the destruction and it's the destruction and elimination of democracy. That is what occurred. When you have a government that now proves there was Russian interference, and you validate that election, when you know there was voter suppression, and you validate that election, when you know that minorities, and mostly non-whites, a lot of their votes, tens of thousands or millions, were not counted, and you validate that election, you no longer have a democracy. So we are not living in a democracy. Our country is not obeying the Constitution. That is what is at stake. And we, the people, can never again trust any future elections, whether they are local, they are state, or they are federal. Because when you do not invalidate a corrupt election, it doesn't matter who won or who lost. If you know that it was interfered with and you don't invalidate it, then it is not a legitimate election, and therefore there is no democracy in America. Democracy ends on January the 20th, 2017 is the day democracy dies in America. And Representative John Lewis is 1,000% right when he says Trump is not the legitimate president. And it doesn't matter where you are politically, if we know these things happen, and we do, and we still certify that election, that amounts to a loss of democracy. But let me not give President Obama, even though I like him, let me not give President Obama a pass. He should not allow Trump to enter into that office. He did not win. He is illegitimate, and it is dangerous for every conservative. It is dangerous for every Republican. It is dangerous for every libertarian. It is dangerous for every Green Party and Democratic voter. All Americans of all stripes have been put at risk. And never again can we say we will ever have a legitimate election again, unless and until the way we vote is changed. We must, between now and 2018, we as an American people must demand that no vote goes without a paper trail in America. I don't care what they use, there needs to be a physical paper trail, as if we were back in the 1900s, that a human being can actually count. Because as long as we know there was corruption and interference in this election, no American can honestly expect their vote to be counted. And we also know something more frightening. We know that the Electoral College has caused 2 popular vote winners to not be the president that the people voted for. Some will argue the Electoral College protects most of the American states, because if we just had the popular vote, the bigger states would always pick the president. If that's the case, let it be done. Get rid of the Electoral College. When the Electoral College steals the rightful winner, then it is time to abolish the Electoral College. When we lose 2 popularly voted in Americans who would be great presidents, then it is time to abolish that. Now, I know what you're thinking. If you lived in a state that maybe because of the more larger states have more votes, your vote wouldn't really count. Would I be thrilled if I voted for someone who would have normally won the Electoral College but didn't win the popular vote? Would I be thrilled? No. But would I want, even the opposition, would I want them to win if the will of the people elected them? Yes. If we are going to be government of, by, and for the people, that is what we must be. Otherwise, our Constitution is a lie. And right now, America, it is a lie. The people do not vote for the President of the United States. They only vote for the electors of the Electoral College. And that is not government of, by, and for the people. And if people are angry with me making this statement that is true, then so be it. I will be an honest American patriot regardless of consequence. I will always stand for justice regardless of consequence. Because when there is just injustice anywhere, then there is injustice everywhere. Those words were spoken by Martin Luther King. And tomorrow, January the 16th, we will celebrate his birthday. January the 16th, 2017. But if we allow injustice anywhere. We have allowed it everywhere. And America and President Obama, you have betrayed the people, and every member of Congress who hasn't stood up have been betrayed the people you are supposed to work for. Make no mistake, Mr. President, I like you, President Obama. But to let this election be certified after we know there was interference, there was voter suppression, and there were tens of thousands or millions of minority votes not counted, and yet this election was certified? Mr. President, every Republican member of Congress, every Democratic member of Congress, and every independent member of Congress, you, sir, you, ma'am, have betrayed the American people. And I, for one, am appalled. January the 20th, 2017, the date that America will lose her democracy.